Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. I'm running just a tad bit late. Went through McDonald's and grabbed Jackson some Coca-Cola and me my senior coffee and my guest here that's Darla DeLeon, some fries. And if you don't have the McDonald's app, you need to download it because it's an awesome app and you can save a little bit of money, you know. Jackson, do you have the McDonald's app?
No, but I have a friend who uses it, and they get a lot of really good deals out of it.
You know, when I was able to go out west here last year, and man, McDonald's is expensive out west.
Everything's expensive out west.
And I used it, buy one sandwich, get one free. In fact, I used it yesterday at our Old Jefferson tour, and we did the tour of Old Jefferson Saturday, and had the biggest crowd we've ever had out there. And Roger Thomas, Toby Francis helped organize it. We had about 80 people, and I think we've got Roger on the line. Roger, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
All doing good. I was cutting it close. I told you I was going through McDonald's, and man, I was trying to get through there as quick as I could. I knew I was pushing. I want to give a shout out to Catherine. She's super nice over at the Broad Street McDonald's, and told I was going to give her a little shout out, but they're always super nice over there. But man, what an awesome day yesterday.
Oh, man, it was great. Hey, I need to get my shout out in. Hey, it's my aunt's 95th birthday, 95 today. She's the oldest, as far as we know, oldest living descendant from Old Jefferson area now.
And so it's what's her first name? Is it?
It's Dorothy Comer.
Dorothy Comer. And
Aunt Dot, yes.
So she was her maiden name was Comer then.
No, her maiden name was actually Hunter.
Oh, Hunter. Okay.
And she's at Creechside. She's one of those descendants right there. Remember, that was one of the places we done.
Yeah. Will you? Well, give us if folks don't know what Old Jefferson, where it's at, what it is. Can you give a quick recap?
Yeah, it used to be the state. You know, it was a county seat there was from 1804 to 1811, and of course, you know, they used to do that logging. They had the old wharfs and all that down there, but. Anyway, they moved the the county seat up to Murfreesboro after 1811 for whatever reasons. And anyway, when they put the first priest dam in, it was the town was supposed to be underwater. And you see, was it underwater yesterday?
No, it was high. What Ernie Johns called high and dry.
Yeah, it was. So it was just really a big miscalculation, big waste of time. But anyway. People that live there, and you met several of them yesterday, that and they still want to take tours and go back there, reminisce the old days. You know what I'm saying? And,
yeah.
And that's what that tour is about. And man, we did have a crowd, did we?
It was really.
We weren't really ready for that many, I don't believe.
Yeah. Well, I only brought 5 biscuits and 5 cups of coffee, and I didn't know how many was going to show up. But I liked how you called out. Now all of a sudden people started saying names. And repeat some of the names that were mentioned, some of the old people that lived there.
Okay, well, of course, the Creeches, Hunters, let's see, Swains, Pattersons, Kings, Joneses, Francis, Eadeses, Mullins.
Ridley, Victory.
Yeah. You remember some of them, too, when I think, calling out. And like I said, Shorts, the Shorts lived out there, Smiths. Like I said, Brewers.
I think Dole Smith was.
I know I'm leaving a lot out, but it was people that I grew up, and their descendants were from there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what was so cool about it. So they there since time.
Well, you got to see. Did you get to meet with Mr. Jones? He's like 92. That come up and talked about.
I heard him talking up there. I was way back in the back. I couldn't make my way up there.
Well, I appreciate. I don't know who it was that had the ATV that drove Mr. Jones around. 'Cause Mr. Jones would have never been able to walk that. And it was rough to get back there too. And that's where I thought I was going to be able to get Marty Luppin's golf cart and get Marty out there. It would have been difficult. But the other ATVs, Daryl Cantrell and Tony Campbell brought
that was awesome.
a couple.
Awesome.
Yeah, was able to tour people back and forth, and
Yeah.
I told you we got lost back in there, and we kept going around. I was like, "Hey, man, this ain't the right place. I've seen this rock 3 times," but somebody finally said, "Hey, pull up your phone," and I didn't even think about looking at my phone, So we just followed the little dot back over to the pumping station.
Yeah.
But it really was a lot of fun. Now, you said you found a whale over there. Would that be on the Lee Victory's old property?
No. It was at the old creek. They called that. You remember we were right there, what they called the square, and that road it went to the river. They called it was called a fords back in. A ford, that was a low spot you could cross the river. Well, the Creek's plantation was always into that road to the left.
Okay.
And that was my great-great-granddaddy. And he was married to a swain. That's how I'm kindred.
So you mean where we were standing at, my understanding, that's where the wharf is. It looks like an old boat ramp if you go back in there. And then, what I understand, Lee Victory's property was to the right.
Yeah, it was. And the church is right there to the left of it.
That Miss Patterson, I met a Troy Patterson, and he was showing me he had 3 fingers missing. He said he got them cut off at the old cedar mill. He was working there years ago.
Yeah, and I believe that was his granddaddy, Jesse Patterson, who worked there. And, of course, my uncle worked there. They got killed in a car wreck. Ed Hunter, back in 1948, he was actually working there.
So that picture that Miss Patterson had of the mailboxes, that would have been right.
I remember those.
In front. That was in front of Lee Victory's property.
Yeah, and it's kind of coming out of that road. It goes back there to the fords, that old plantation house of my great-great-granddaddy's. It was like a little fork area. When you come out of there, in the middle of that fork, it was some mailboxes lined up.
Okay.
And I can remember those. Yeah, I remember those mailboxes sitting there right beside the store there, a little road beside the store. But I found that well back there. We're digging around, back there. Nobody else. There's about 10 of us went back there. It was Melinda Graves, which was a King, Steve King, and various different, ones that actually parents had lived there or family lived there.
Yep.
After our family did, and we went back there and got some buttercups, and we actually found, I found an old square handmade a nail out of a fence post. It was an old picket fence there. You ought to have seen it, man. There's those cedar strips. We got a few pieces of that, and man, I come across and I found the dadgum well.
That was cool. Well, that basement, I guess you call it a cellar. Now, that cellar that's out there, that was Lee Victory's property, correct?
Probably. I'm not positive on that fact there, but probably was. That's something Toby has to answer as far as whose property it was on. Well,
I bet Toby was excited yesterday, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I called him. Told him what such a great job, and also Carson. The old Jefferson memories. I just got back from the airport. I just walked in from took him down to the airport to fly back out. But he flew in, of course, for the weekend. He was, that's his life. That's the kind of stuff he.
Now,
loves.
if folks wanna know more about it, they could just find old Jefferson memories on Facebook, correct?
Right. And there'll be a map, old Jefferson, a handwritten map of a town, and that's how you see that's how you do the front of it. That you're at the right one. And,
well, I'm looking at that picture right now. In fact, I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share it on. I guess I can share it on his Facebook or my Facebook on there, because I took a video of the West Fork and East Fork coming together. It's on YouTube. If somebody just went to YouTube, type in West Fork, East Fork, Percy Priest Lake, Old Jefferson, it should show up.
Yeah, we used to call it the junction too. That's what we'd call it in the old days, the junction. That's what we refer to it as. Yes.
Well, the Keeble plantation, that was called Stony Lonesome, and I told you we found where it said the cemetery, and we went out there and walked it off. And the little GPS, I mean, it had me standing where it said over the cemetery. We couldn't find a headstone. We didn't see anything that looked like a cemetery. We did find 2 stones that we at first thought were headstones, but they were a large block that was about maybe not quite probably 30 inches, 28 inches long by maybe a foot wide, and maybe.
There were probably steps from steps. That's what they did back then, is old limestone.
Well, Marty
cut them aside.
Marty called those. He said he thought it was some kind of stones where people stepped on to get on the horses.
Yeah, they had those too, but they would have been a lot higher. Like the ones out at Sam Davis' home, you've seen the ones like, but he's right too. He probably had several different things, but they had some bigger ones you get in the carriage.
Yeah.
And the ones I'm sure they would get on the horse, but the ones I could show you at Sam Davis' home one day. And tell me if it looked like that, and I'll show you where it's got.
Well, Marty said that there's some that's out there.
Yeah.
But you're saying your understanding is that all the cemeteries were moved when the lake came in.
Yeah, to Mount
Supposedly.
Juliet. Our family has moved to Mount Juliet, but like I said, probably just the headstones, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that cemetery we looked for, we was talking to my aunt this afternoon. We went to see her for her birthday before I took Carson to the airport, and she said there was a tenant's house in front of the plantation, and the cemetery was actually behind that. So the way I understood it, that Toby was saying he thought it was near the road, but she said there was a house between the cemetery and that. See, but GPS, we couldn't find it. But now we know where to look for her recollection.
Well, ask her if the plantation did it back up to the West Fork. Because right behind, we walked back. In fact, I got some video of that too. I was afraid I was going to fall off in the water there with that. There's like a huge boulder that kind of tilted over, and it looks like almost like some cut rock sitting. I guess it's just a natural formation, but I thought it might have been cut looked like large blocks.
Yeah.
Down in there. Ask her if Stony Lonesome backed up to the river or did it face the river.
Okay, I sure will. Okay, I will.
And where the maybe you could pull up the GPS and show her. But there's a few photos out there of Stony Lonesome, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But as far as that block or brick you have or whatever, somebody found an old brick. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was from the home on the right going in, where you see a foundation still sitting there.
Okay. Now, if you can, did you make a picture of that rock you're talking about? Is in question.
Man, I made so many pictures. I have to look back. I got a lot. I'm gonna slowly upload the videos that I took the other day. Well, Roger, thanks. Well, we'll
man. Hey, take care. Hey, and what did you think about the print shop of the night?
Oh yeah, print shop was great. If folks hadn't been over there, right there off of what would be North Lowry.
You took Carson there. It was awesome.
Awesome little place. If folks hadn't been there, they need to stop by there. All right. Well, thank you, Roger. We're going to take a quick break, okay?
All right.
Thank you, brother. We'll see.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance Policy Perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafehouse.com.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
Hi, Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
All right. Ruts Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Our next guest, we're talking about a serious issue that's really, I think, affected every family, every person in our state, our country, unless you're an orphan. But even an orphan has been touched. That's probably why they're an orphan, and that's drug use and drug addiction. I've got Michael DeLeon and Darla DeLeon with Steered Straight. Darla, how you doing?
I am great, sir. How are you doing?
Some fries good?
They were. Thank you for having me.
You can't beat McDonald's fries, man. You know, especially with that app. You know, those were probably $2. I got them for $1.29. Just saying. Now, how many years? I think a lot of folks are familiar with Steered Straight, but those that's not. How many? Tell us a little about it, and then how long have y'all been in Rutherford County?
Sure. So we've been in existence for 18 years. This year, we have surpassed over 15 million students that we have been in front of. We have been in Rutherford County for 6 years this past January. So
Has it been that long? I was thinking seemed like it'd been longer.
It seems like it. I wish it was, but
you know, well, I remember y'all coming to a conference we put together, and I could have swore that was 10 years ago.
No, we probably came down for a conference or something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we were at the Ag Center. Do you remember that one?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And somebody else helped me with that. It was a young guy that had helped
Tyler. Probably Tyler Bowman.
Oh, it was Tyler.
Yes.
Man, I'm glad. I'm sorry, Tyler, if he's listening, because Tyler's been on the show with me several times, and Tyler's just got an awesome story. You know, I appreciate his courage and confidence to come out and share his own, testimony.
Sure. Well, Tyler's got a treatment center out in Normandy now. That's
right.
Massive. It's amazing.
That's called the Healing Center, right?
Brooks Healing
The Brooks
Center.
Healing Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have got talked to Tyler, and it's been several months.
Yep.
You know,
he's doing good, helping people help themselves. Break free from addictions. That's what we're all here for.
Well, I know that Michael's been touched personally, and Tyler's been touched personally. Do you think? You know, I see folks that I had a group, Hustle Recovery, on with me a couple weeks ago, and Kim Ryan and Troy Sandifer on, and another gentleman, the name is blank right now, but they're passionate. Do you see a difference when people have went through this themselves? Are they more passionate, have more conviction, than somebody that maybe they've seen it in their family, or they've seen it and they work in that field?
So there's different aspects for each person. Each person has a different perspective. Some people, like myself as well, I'll have 19 years on March the 14th, clean and sober. God restored and redeemed me.
Yeah.
And so, but some people have a different perspective, like they've lost their child. They have a sibling who was in addiction. I lost my father to alcoholism. So
how old were you?
Let me see. I was 30.
30 when he passed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I lived with alcoholism all my life.
Well, that's where I was fixing to go. Did that influence you to make those kind of choices when you see it in your own family, you think?
Yeah, it's definitely harder. And people don't realize, especially with our youth today, that as far as alcohol, it's more commonplace than people realize. You have the closet alcoholic family, the parents who, are trying to hide it. They can't hide it from their children.
Yeah.
Give you the education that you need to make an informed decision.
Are most schools pretty welcoming to the program?
Oh, yes. So some of our schools here in Tennessee, we were just in Fayette County and Lexington, Kentucky, last week for the last 2 weeks. We did thousands of students there. We are going
to... So you hit, is it just certain grades, or is it...
all grades.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So what, even first graders and second graders?
Yeah, so we have a program, so we do K through college, right?
Okay.
We also do EAP programs for businesses and stuff like that.
Okay.
We have a program for police officers, first responders,
Yeah.
almost every dynamic. But our message is catered to the age and the makeup of the students that we're speaking to.
Okay.
It's also catered to what the school needs are.
Yeah.
So in Fayette County, Tennessee, their needs are different from Lexington, Kentucky in some way. Some kids are seeing more fentanyl in their schools. Some kids are not. Some kids are seeing more meth. So it just depends. So whatever the message is. But right now, 10 out of 10 schools that request our services, it's about vaping. And what comes. So because anything that can be liquefied now comes in a vape, including fentanyl. You can vape vitamins in a vape pen now.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you have our kids are the ones who are being targeted with it because there's lipstick vape pens now that are real lipstick. You can use it.
Wow.
There's highlighters that are real highlighters that you can use. There's a watch that looks just like an Apple Watch, but it's a vape watch. The kids can vape right in your school. It actually works. It keeps time. It has an alarm. It's amazing how ingenious these people are to reach our children.
Is most of this coming from China?
It is.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. In coming through different areas, like you have the border in the south, and you have Canadian border. I mean, it's coming from everywhere.
I had to do a funeral. I had just met with the mother and got to talk to her son. I know he had 3 DUIs. He was 30, 3 kids, and got to talk to the young man. I really wasn't talking about that. I was talking to him about a vehicle. And I knew he'd had some trouble, so I was encouraging him to get in Celebrate Recovery. And he had been and getting in church and, looking to his faith. And then she called me about 3 weeks later. She said he passed. They got the, how do you say it, toxicology report. And there was some fentanyl and another drug that I think Michael's told me about. I can't pronounce it. It's some latest thing that's going on.
Probably xylazine.
That was in his system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've probably been to funerals and you've seen people that have passed. And
We've attended over 200 funerals just from people who have lost their family members in addiction.
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
Well, how do you? Well, I'll guess this is a question for Michael. Michael, how you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing good. We were talking about. I mentioned I had done a funeral just a couple weeks ago of a fentanyl overdose, and here I am looking at the mother, the father, the grandmothers, and it's like, boy, it really plays on me, and it's difficult. How do you deal with this when you see it all the time, and it seems like the problem is getting worse? How do you find the fortitude to keep on fighting?
God.
Yes.
Amen.
Period. I've been to 229 funerals.
Wow.
Since we started this mission. 229 times we've stood before the casket of a young person. 4 of those 229 people were 9 years of age, 9-year-old kids.
Wow.
And it gets no easier. It just gets different. Everyone asks the same question. Parents, godparents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, former teachers, former coaches, friends, when they stand before these kids' caskets, and I say kids, some of them in their 30s, 40s, 50s, when they stand before these caskets, they all ask the same question, why?
Yeah.
Or how did this happen? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't ever get political. I can't stand that this issue has become politicized, and it has been just pathetically politicized by the right and the left. This is not a political issue. One thing I could tell you, in all of the funerals I've been to, I've never once had a person to come pay their respects. I've never heard any of them stand before that casket and ask if the parents were registered Republicans or registered Democrats. This is an issue that crosses every single demographic, every racial, cultural, religious bound, socioeconomic bound. I mean, Toby Mac, in my opinion, the greatest Christian musical artist that's ever lived. He's one of the top in the world. His 21-year-old son, right there in Davidson County, Williamson County.
Had the world at his fingertips.
Yeah, 21 years of age. Methamphetamine laced with fentanyl. For 7 8 years now, I've been screaming about methamphetamine and the rise of cocaine, and that's not really on anyone's radar. Last 4 days ago, the largest methamphetamine bust, 6 tons. The largest bust has happened at a port of entry, at a border crossing. 6 tons.
Border crossing? You mean the Texas border crossing? Mexico
Texas
border crossing.
Laredo Bridge.
Okay.
Laredo Bridge. 6 tons of meth.
Wow.
In one. It's the largest border bust for methamphetamine in American history. It is pouring into this country, and now the cartels are lacing the meth with fentanyl. So these kids, these people want to use drugs. They want to, use cocaine, use meth, use heroin. It doesn't matter. And now we've got dozens and dozens of cases all across the country where fentanyl has been found and led to the death of a young person. Fentanyl was in a vape cartridge. Most people are familiar with fentanyl in pills, in counterfeit pills.
Yeah.
But now we have fentanyl in vape cartridges. We had a 15-year-old girl in Semmes, Alabama, and she actually told her parents the week before she died that she thinks there's kids in school that literally have poison fentanyl in their vape pens. And then the following week, she hit one of the vape pens, and she died. She's 15 years of age. I mean, it is catastrophic. I was looking at an article on Williamson County, our county, our local county.
Yeah, just showed that to Mike.
Yeah, schools are notifying parents that the illicit drug is very bad. And with all due respect to law enforcement, there's 2 law enforcement professionals that were questioned for this story. And they said, parents need to have a sit down and a talk with their kids. And then one of the officers says, and if parents don't know what to say, we're here to help. But they don't have the tools to educate kids about drugs. That's why we have tried, and I'm not trying to put Williamson County on the spot, but we have tried countless times to tell the superintendent of schools, I have a fentanyl curriculum. I wish no one had to learn about fentanyl. I wish no one in Rutherford County, no one in Davis County, no one in Williams County, Wilson County, I wish no one in Middle Tennessee needed to know about fentanyl. But we spent about $20,000 making it, $47,000 making it evidence-based and having it studied by an outside entity. We have the only video fentanyl curriculum in the entire country. And we're not selling it. We're giving it away. We're trying to give it to parents, give it to educators, give it to school districts. Please sit down and learn how serious this is, how widespread it is, how deadly it is. One of the officers said, these kids are playing Russian roulette with their life. And it's exactly what they're doing. But a news story, and then people share it or post it on their Facebook page, a news story is not going to do anything. Sitting down and having a talk about fentanyl, if you don't know what you're talking about, that's not going to solve the problem. We have to get educated about this issue, and we have the education. So we moved to Middle Tennessee, in 2018. Smartest thing, well, marrying my wife is the smartest thing I ever did, but moving to Tennessee was the second smartest thing I ever did in my life. I came here for a reason. I saw the escalation of meth and cocaine and fentanyl and heroin hitting Tennessee and Kentucky and Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas. I wanted to be in this region of the country to really educate. And I tell you, it's been the hardest thing to get these school districts to bring educational programs into the schools, and it's heart-wrenching.
Why is that? Why do you feel that way?
I mean, it's heart-wrenching because I know we have the answers. We have dozens and dozens of curriculum. I have a way and a methodology that is impactful for kids. In the last week, we did 2 weeks in Kentucky, and we didn't really want to launch the social media TikTok. I didn't want to be on TikTok. We didn't want to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
We just knew that we had to get positive information and education to these kids. So we launched less than a month ago. We had 160 kids in the last week at schools that we have not gone to across the country who saw the content on TikTok and the impact that we were making in the schools that we were going to. And they literally said on TikTok, come to this school, come to my school.
Wow, did they really?
160 kids in just 1 week. So now we're reaching out to all those schools to say, hey, your kids are asking for this content to come in. It's engaging, it's believable, it's effective, and the kids are just blown away. The staff is blown away. The parents are blown away.
Yeah.
So we take a systemic approach, a village approach, and we educate the kids and the staff and the parents, and then we have 6 entities of a community: civic organizations, clergy, the business community, law enforcement, the medical community.
Yeah.
And we say, here, this is what you need to know, because everyone's affected. But for
Yes.
the life of me, I do not understand why the educators, I guess I do understand. I don't agree, but I understand. They don't believe they're there to teach kids about drugs. They're there to teach kids about education.
Exactly. What don't you think, though? I mean, you and others are making an impact. I mean, Chairman Craig Harris, Rutherford County Commission, and others have been trying to shed light on this problem. But don't you think that you are moving the needle? I mean, don't you think that the pendulum is swinging where people know there's a severe crisis? I mean, don't you feel like they're kind of getting it now?
Yeah, we're
compared to
able
5
go.
years
We're
ago.
not the-
Oh, yes.
Oh, for God. And we're not the only ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there's great people. There's great people in Rutherford County. There's a coalition of people that get together. There's medical professionals, Mr. Johnson, like you said, legislators, local, or, ordinance people and law enforcement, especially Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, Murfreesboro Police Department, but parents is the key. The conversation in the dinner table, the conversation at home, the conversation, what are you going to talk to your kids about?
Yes.
I was watching a national news show, and they were having a problem. There was, 2 moms that came on. That one lost her daughter, one lost her son at 16 and at 19 years of age. And so they're saying, what's the answer, And they said, you have to talk to your kids. And so the one commentator said, well, did you really ever talk to your kids? And the woman said, I talk to my kids all the time.
Yeah.
And so now you're like, okay, you said talk to your kids, but you talk to your kids all the time. She didn't talk to her kids about the right stuff because she wasn't aware of it. No parent thinks their kid's going to go out and take a pill at a party.
Yeah.
No parent understands that there's vaping devices that contain fentanyl and cocaine and crystal meth. So we want to educate people. And the best way to do it, obviously, is to get in front of 1,000 kids, 2,000 kids at once, with the staff there, and then do a parent night. But we have educational on our website, steeredstraight.org. That's free. Parents can take education on fentanyl, education on drugs. We have parent programs. We have educator programs, and we give it away for free. But we need to implement a full-blown systemic program in the schools. And
how's Rutherford County? Have you? So obviously you've approached our own county. I mean, how have they been? They've been very receptive, or what?
So we have a new superintendent of schools for Rutherford County.
Yeah.
And so I met with Dr. Sullivan. Very nice
Great.
man.
Awesome
very
guy.
Nice
He
man.
really is. I'm just saying that he really is.
Yeah. And so I actually gave him our fentanyl curriculum to implement in his schools, and so we are at a waiting point with that. Also met with Murfreesboro City Schools because we met with Craig Harris and the board there for grant funding to go into our schools. And so one of the gentlemen said, go into Murfreesboro City Schools. And so I met with him as well. And so we are just trying to do those partnerships.
Yeah. Michael, you mentioned your faith. How important is that to your both of y'all's passion and conviction? How important is that?
It's
I
everything.
always tell people it's everything. She's right. I always tell people I respect the religious belief of all people. I was in San Diego yesterday. I had 2 events. I had an event at an Islamic community center, and there was about 200 people of Islamic faith, and educating them about fentanyl. And then last evening, I had a huge educational event in San Diego with Scientologists. So, like I said, it crosses every religious boundary. Tonight we're meeting with a church, a Baptist church in Seattle, Washington. And so Christians, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I'm blessed and privileged to even say it. But all faith, all spiritual principles, we need to come together and sit down. And if it wasn't for our faith, if it wasn't for our the Holy Spirit carrying me through this, there's no way I could have stood before 229 kids' caskets. There's just no way. The first 4 were on my caseload. I was in an internship at an adolescent treatment center outside of Philadelphia. And in 10 days, we lost 4 kids on my caseload. So I went to 4 children's funerals. The only funeral I've ever been to before that was my mother's. One funeral in my whole life, my mother's funeral. Wow. And now I go to 4 funerals inside of a week for kids that were on my caseload that died of heroin. And when the toxicology reports came back, the parents started calling me up. And they started asking me what was fentanyl. This was 2010, wow. 14 years ago. What was fentanyl? And I know what fentanyl is. I knew what fentanyl was. I said, how does fentanyl get in your kid's body? And all 4 parents. So that was the first big test the cartels used on the East Coast to put fentanyl in street heroin. They laced heroin with fentanyl 14 years ago as a big kickoff on the East Coast, and now it's in every state. And now we have synthetic drugs that are even 10 times more powerful than fentanyl. So it's not about drugs anymore. This is about poisoning. My faith is what's got me through. I want to educate Republicans. I want to educate Democrats. I want to educate people who have no political affiliation. I want to educate Christians and atheists and agnostics. I want to educate rich and poor, black and white. We have to come together. This is a crisis of epic proportions. And in the great state of Tennessee, another thing that a lot of people really don't think about is the amount of people who are coming to Tennessee, from other parts of the country and from all walks of life, all demographics, moving and relocating to Tennessee. Yes. Well, people are coming here for a better life. I mean, there's no question. I'll be the first to say it. But people are also coming here with their problems and their addiction and their problems come with them.
Yes.
Right. Their unscrupulous agenda. I could take you into pretty much any county jail in the state of Tennessee, and we could survey every kid in the county jails in Tennessee or young person, and 75% of them are in there with full-blown addiction problems.
Yeah.
Well,
did you ever
program that we created?
Did you ever get to meet with the late Dr. Linda Gilbert?
No.
The Murfreesboro City School System.
I'm sorry.
Just an awesome lady. We put together a town hall years ago. It was an opioid mental health town hall, and it was well attended. We had about 110 people that was in attendance, and thankfully the media did cover it. But Michael and Darla, here's a letter, and I've said this on the House floor. I've said this in education meeting. I've said it in finance meeting. I feel like there's a lot of elected officials that are just totally. There's a sense of there's elitism in politics. I'll be honest with you, and a lot of them care more about the country club and fundraising than they do the people. And but here's a letter, and this is very alarming right here. Remember, this was written 3.5 years ago. She says, I was asking her what the silver bullet is. I said, what is the silver bullet to help combat the problems that we're seeing, with youth today? And she says, I apologize for being so delayed in responding. She says, please, thinks she's writing my assistant, which she was. It got to me. Please thank Representative Sparks for reaching out. She said more funding for counselors would certainly help in the social emotional areas we're seeing. Another area is social workers are vital in many school districts are not able to fund them. And here's what she goes on to say that to me is alarming. She said it would be helpful for him and other legislators to talk with superintendents about the issues we're seeing in very young children. Here's what alarmed me. She said the behaviors of the 6 to 9 year olds are like something we've never seen before. She said they are disorderly, disruptive, and aggressive, and we are bringing all of our resources into play. There's no place for these children to go to be assessed and treated. She goes on to say, I feel good about the Department of Education, what they're trying to accomplish in the emphasis of the whole child, whole child, not part of the child, not 10th of the child, but the whole child. And she goes on to say, I'm hopeful that Department of Mental Health Substance Abuse will work alongside them to address the upper tier children for whom there seems to be no answers. Michael and Darla, when you see this, what she's saying, the 6 to 9 year olds, and what I've been saying, these 6 to 9 year olds are soon going to be 16 and 19. We can't just prosecute, incarcerate our way out of trouble. Why do y'all think we're seeing the problems like she's saying 6 to 9 year olds?
Because the parents are putting it on the schools to raise their children.
Yeah.
Right. So
you hear that from teachers, don't you?
All the time. Yeah. So they're with teachers a lot of times more than they are parents, or they have a single parent who works 2 jobs and the kid goes to somebody else's home, where they're not really getting the communication and relationship that they need from their parent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
in addition to that, what's coming right behind that, she's 100% right. What's coming right behind that is a lot of parents don't understand how social media has then stepped in to warm that kid, surround that kid, be that dopamine download. The dopamine is now downloaded on their social media. So what was starting what was starting 6 years ago, what she mentioned 3.5 years ago, was social media. And then the worst thing to happen on top of that, the gasoline on the fire, was COVID. Disconnecting kids and shutting schools. We see it everywhere I go. I can tell you by state where the worst states are with the most problems. The digital addiction is through the roof.
Yeah.
And when I had a conversation with you a year ago, what was now gasoline on that fire was vaping. And now, full-blown legalization of marijuana. People in Tennessee need to understand marijuana is fully legal in the state of Tennessee. And the state of Tennessee did not vote on it. It was the federal government with the Farm Bill. In Murfreesboro, I could take you to gas stations all over our city, vape shops, smoke shops, all over our city, and you can buy gummies. You could buy full-blown flower marijuana. You can buy full-blown vape cartridges that's 100% potent THC, inducing psychosis. It is a perfect storm now.
Yes.
It was created by apathy of parents and let the schools raise the kids. It was fueled by the social media explosion, and then it was fueled by disconnection of kids by keeping schools closed for lengths of time. And now we are seeing of the vapes that get handed to us, we get literally kids hand us their vapes. Of the non-disposable vapes that are sealed, about 10% of those vapes that we got tested positive for THC, marijuana. Now it's 40%.
Wow.
And I'm talking about from elementary school, middle school, and high school kids.
Golly,
These kids, high school kids.
Golly,
These kids can buy vape cartridges with marijuana in it right online, have it sent right to their house. They could buy it at the smoke shops and the vape shops. Delta Products. I'd love to come, testify in front of the, legislature in Tennessee and let people know there are things that need to take place and happen. We have full-blown, unvetted, unregulated marijuana legalization in Tennessee, in Kentucky, all across the country, and people don't realize how bad it is. This is going, like you just said, these are going to be the 16 and the 19-year-old kids. Many, many years ago, this whole thing, the school-to-prison pipeline. We are in a new era of school-to-prison pipeline, but it's not for the same reasons. So they can calculate how many prison beds they're going to need. And
based
over
on third-grade
30
rating,
states in our country right now is adding prison beds because they know what's coming, just like you said.
I toured a women's prison just last week. Well, week and a half ago, I guess it'd be, and 6 women serving 51 years for felony murder, and I asked them how many of them were sexually abused, because there is a link there with
absolutely
100%
childhood sexual abuse, and that bill that we passed, that bill a few years ago, that was probably the first time. I mean, I not try to plug my own self, but I was probably the first lawmaker to talk about this seriousness in committee. You talk about people's eyes. When I said what crime goes unreported, it wasn't auto thefts and assault, but sexual abuse with minors. And I just happened to see women's faces, and all of a sudden everybody's eyes, boom. And then I seen a few women in the audience start nodding their heads like, yes. Yeah. But most of those women were abused. And, our prison budget, what people don't realize, it's doubled since I was elected. It went from $600 million to $1.2 billion. And one thing, Michael, I know you get fired up about this, and what frustrates me in the General Assembly is I see all these lobbyists. There's 58 pages of a book full of lobbyists, 5 people per page. And I've never seen anybody, I don't think there's maybe there is, I don't think there's one person lobbying for this issue at all.
Yeah.
Well,
we are.
I
mean, I know y'all, but y'all aren't in the book.
Yeah.
You're not an official lobbyist.
We actually have a program called One Step Away that goes into the prisons and helps them walk through different phases, so that when they get out, because most of them are getting out.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have
What,
more
90,
tools.
is it 95%?
Yeah.
95%. Yeah.
Yep, they have the
And we
tools.
give that away too. I'm sorry, Darla. We give that away too, Mike. The prison program, we don't sell it. We give it away to prisons and jails.
Yeah.
We're trying to get it on every county jail in the state of Tennessee. We met with people in Franklin a couple of months ago. We're trying to get it in every county jail in the state of Tennessee.
Actually,
we can't lobby because we're a nonprofit, but I can educate all legislators and tell them what needs to happen.
I actually have a copy of that in my car for you.
Okay. Well, Michael, let me ask you this.
I need your help. We need your help to get in front of these people.
I had a guy call me. We were helping him with his record. I don't think he's going to mind me sharing. Justin Bashir. I don't know if you know Justin. Made some bad decisions when he was 17, 18, and we're able to get his felony overturned. They're waiting on the governor's signature, but the whole board of probation parole recommended a full pardon for him. Very passionate guy. But I told him, I said, why don't you take and call every elected official that you have? I said, and do a little documentary. Write down who is willing to meet with you, who's not willing, and don't tell them that you're doing this. Just say, hey man, do you have 15 minutes to meet at Panera Bread or Dunkin' Donuts? Not somebody in Memphis or Cookeville, but in your own community. He lives in Smyrna. Your city council, your county commissioner, even your road board member, your school board member, your state lawmaker, your congressman, and see if they'll even talk to you and document all of it and then come out with an article about this. This is where we used to have a thing called journalism in the state of Tennessee. In the community, people used to cover these things. It's all corporate now, man. And I'll be honest with you. I think they're all in it together. I think the corporations, I think they all want these problems. If you don't believe me, look at who's profiting. It's the drug manufacturers.
Got to follow the money.
Yeah.
It is follow the money, and it's sad, that. But one thing I like about you, Michael, and Darla too. Michael, you're like in your face. You're passionate. I know you probably tick some people off every now and then. Do you ever tick anybody off? I bet you do, don't you?
Oh yeah.
It's me off most of the time.
Really? Probably this morning or yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah. It's the truth though. Yeah, people don't want to hear the truth. And that's why I can't stand a political issue. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat, And one thing I'd like help with, too, so my felony conviction, I have many convictions, but my felony conviction was from 1995. We're coming up on 30 years.
Wow.
And it was out of Tennessee. So I did 12 years in prison. I finished my parole in Tennessee 2010. And I tell you, the day my parole was finished.
You mean New Jersey?
In New Jersey, yeah.
Yes.
In New Jersey. Before we moved to the great state of Tennessee. Darla has a picture of me at the Board of Voting getting my voting rights back. It meant a lot to me. She's got another picture of me coming out of the voting booth when I voted. I had my voting rights restored. And when I moved to Tennessee, it doesn't matter if your felony conviction was in Tennessee or not. It doesn't matter when it was. If it's a first-degree felony conviction, you can't vote in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
So 30 years ago, I have a felony conviction. I got my voting rights restored back in New Jersey. And it was one of the things that almost prevented me from moving to Tennessee because my voting rights meant so much to me. And I know that we're in a great state, red state. Many Republican legislators need to understand when people do a lot of time in prison, not a year, 2 years, 3 years, but when people do a lot of time in prison and they get their voting rights restored, they don't register Democrat. They register Republican. So this is not a political issue, but I want to vote, and I can't vote in the state of Tennessee.
The first thing I tell people is to pray about it. Whatever the issue is, pray about it, sleep on it, and continue to pray about it. And if people don't think prayer works, I've witnessed it. I even had a billionaire governor. They spent $150,000 against me. I have a nickel out of pocket, a quarter, and I still won. It's not trying to brag by no means, but only by the grace of God is only kept me in office.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for using profanity Thursday on the House floor. It was the H word. I was talking about Nazis and how we kicked their butts and dropped the hell out of some bombs over Germany. But what kills me is this narrative that you're seeing out there, we don't have enough time to get into the Nazis that were supposed to be up there on Broadway protest. These are paid actors. This is all part of a narrative, a rouge, if you will, to throw people off the real issues like this open border. We have a war and people are paying attention to Taylor Swift. They're watching the Super Bowl. They're gambling.
Distracted.
They are, and I think the corporate media wants us distracted. That's why the local media is so important. The Murfreesboro Post, the Pulse newspaper, WGNS, folks, try to support them if you can. Whether you're a local business, buy an ad in the Pulse, buy an ad in the Murfreesboro Post. But Michael, before we run out of airtime, I thought you were going to be in the studio, but I've got something for y'all, and I wanted to present it to you in person, but you're not here, so best thing is just on the radio here. I've got a proclamation signed by all my lawmakers in the state of Tennessee, and I'm going to try to read it off real quick. It just goes that whereas it is fitting that we should recognize organizations that are devoted to improving the lives of young people in this state and across the nation, and whereas one such organization is Steered Straight, which we recently achieved a great milestone of having reached 15 million students. 15 million students. Let me say it again. 15 million students across America through its innovative drug prevention program, whereas now in its 17th year, Steered Straight is a proven program that does not simply explain drug abuse prevention at school assembly, but instead teaches the reality of drugs and devises a prevention message that students implement themselves within the school system. And whereas Steered Straight has become the #1 booked program in America with assemblies focused on drug education prevention, the program is primarily based on its uniqueness of the messenger, someone who has suffered the consequences of negative decisions with real life story to tell and with whom youth instantly identify. And whereas Steered Straight does not simply educate students about the harmful nature of drugs and alcohol, but it provides the reality and deadly impact that the drugs and alcohol can have on their own lives, removing the concern parents have about how to help their kids and offering active solutions. Whereas led by Michael DeLeon, Steered Straight has found that just say no message has not worked, and neither do discipline and scare tactics to actively achieve the goal of students choosing to stop abusing substances on their own takes and engaging in a powerful message. Mr. DeLeon and his wife Darla and his team deliver that message, whereas it is wholly fitting that we formally recognize Steered Straight on the success of this innovative drug prevention program. I, therefore, Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton, on the 113th General Assembly in the state of Tennessee, at the request of conjunction of Mike Sparks, do hereby proclaim that we recognize and commend Steered Straight upon having the 15th million students in America through its innovative drug use prevention program, extending our deepest gratitude for the organization's important work and our best wishes for its continued success. Proclaimed Nashville, the 22nd day of January 2024, signed by Representative Tim Rudd, Representative Brian Terry, Senator Don White, Representative Robert Stevens, Representative Charlie Baum, as well as Senator Shane Reeves. Michael and Darla, congratulations.
Thank you.
On that. I wanted you to be in the studio personally, but hey, you're a busy man. You're reaching 15 million students, across this great state. When I named off all the lawmakers, have you been able to meet with everybody in our Rutherford County delegation?
No.
You haven't? Okay.
Well, we will. We'll get on that right away.
Well, they all do care, and I think we've got a great county commissioner who do care. I think we've got a good mayor, Joe Carr, who does care. I think the mayor, Marius Reed, in Smyrna cares. Jason Cole in Laverne cares. Shane McFarland does care. Our school board, I think, cares. Have you got to meet? Did I put you in touch with Caleb Tidwell here recently? I was thinking I did. Or
no.
Maybe it's somebody else. I put another group in touch with.
I don't think so.
With him. Have you been able to meet with every school board member?
No, we have not.
Y'all haven't. Okay.
We need to.
Well, won't you get with Austin Maxwell with the GOP? I mean, not try to be political, but and invite the Democrat leader Morgan Woodbury. She's real sweet, and get both of them.
You're absolutely right. It's not political, and I meet with anybody and everybody. So, Knoxville, Memphis, Nashville, but it's also Laverne, Smyrna, Las Casas, Murfreesboro.
Yes.
So I just want parents to get educated and sit down and have these conversations, but know what they're talking about.
Yes.
So people can go to steeredstraight.org.
Okay.
Just call your school boards, call your superintendents, say, please bring this program into your schools.
Yes.
The educational stuff on our website is all free, steeredstraight.org. And thank you so much for
Well,
the
thank you. Thank you,
acknowledgement.
Michael. And thank you, Darla.
Thank you so much. You asked one question.
Uh-huh.
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life to get to
Amen.
our children.
I totally
so that's
agree.